stop scrolling right now. Because what I am about to say to you is something you have needed to hear for a long time. And I mean that not as a hook, not as something to keep you watching, as the actual truth of what I am sensing in your energy right now. There is someone, and before I say another word, I want you to notice what just happened in your body, because something moved, something shifted slightly, something that was resting just woke up a little. And that reaction, that involuntary, honest, immediate reaction, is the whole story right there. Because here is what I want to tell you about that person. The one whose face just appeared. The one whose name just surfaced without invitation. The one you have been trying, with varying degrees of success, to stop thinking about. They have not stopped thinking about you. Not even close. But here is the part that nobody talks about. Here is the part that gets lost in all the confusion and the distance and the uncertainty. The reason they have been holding back, the reason the pursuit has not happened the way you expected, the reason they have seemed close and then distant, present and then absent, almost there and then somehow not quite, is not indifference. It is the opposite of indifference. They have been overwhelmed, and I want to describe exactly what that means, because overwhelmed gets misunderstood. People hear overwhelmed and they think chaos, they think drama, they think someone who cannot handle their life. That is not what I mean. What I mean is this. There are people in this world who move through life feeling things at a very manageable level. Attraction is pleasant. Connection is nice. Relationships are something you build steadily and reasonably. And then they encounter someone. And something in them that they thought they understood completely exceeds anything they were prepared for. The attraction is not pleasant. It is consuming. It does not sit quietly in the background. It follows them into ordinary moments, into unrelated conversations, into the spaces between sleep and waking. And that level of feeling, for someone who is not used to it, for someone who has always been in control of their emotional landscape, is genuinely frightening. Does that land somewhere real for you? Have you sensed that underneath the distance from this person, something more intense than indifference was present? Have you felt the warmth of it even through the confusion? Tell me in the comments, because I think some of you have known this intuitively for a while. You just kept second guessing yourself. Let me describe this person to you, not physically, but energetically, in terms of how they move through the world. This is someone who is used to being composed, who values having themselves together, who has built a sense of identity around being steady, reliable, grounded, not someone who gets swept away. And that self-image, that carefully maintained sense of being in control, you threaten it. Not because you are doing anything wrong, not because you are too much or too intense or too anything, but simply because of what happens in them when you are near or when you cross their mind or when something reminds them of you. Something in them moves in a way they cannot fully manage, in a way that does not respond to their usual tools of self-regulation. And for someone who is used to managing everything, that loss of control, even that small, private, internal loss of control, feels enormous. Let me slow down for a second, because I want to paint you a very specific scene. Imagine this person somewhere in their ordinary life, at their desk, in their car, walking somewhere familiar, and something reminds them of you, a song, a word, a moment that has a similar texture to something you shared, something completely unrelated to you on the surface. And suddenly you are there in their mind, fully, completely, without invitation. And what they feel in that moment is not a mild, pleasant thought. It is a pull, deep and specific and impossible to talk themselves out of. And they sit with it for a moment, longer than they would admit to anyone, turning it over, feeling the weight of it, the warmth of it, the frustrating, inconvenient, beautiful weight of it. And then they do what they have been doing. They manage it, they put it somewhere, they tell themselves something reasonable, not the right time, not the right circumstances, need to figure some things out first. And they continue with their day, but it stays. It always stays. Because some things do not respond to management. Some feelings do not file neatly away no matter how many times you try. And here is what is changing right now. The management is becoming unsustainable. The distance they have been maintaining, the careful, deliberate, this is safer approach they have been using. It is costing them more than it is protecting them. And something in them is beginning to recognize that. Hold on, because I want to name something here very clearly. The shift that is happening in this person right now, the movement towards you, the building probability of pursuit, it is not coming from a place of desperation. It is not coming from loneliness. It is not coming from having run out of other options. It is coming from a place of decision, from someone who has been sitting with the full weight of what they feel long enough, honestly enough, to finally stop pretending they can file it away, to finally stop choosing the safety of distance over the reality of what they want. And that distinction matters, because pursuit that comes from decision, from genuine considered, this is what I want decision, is a completely different thing from pursuit that comes from impulse or desperation. It is steadier. It is realer. It is the kind that does not evaporate when the initial rush fades. Now, I want to talk about you, because this reading is not really about them. It is never really about them. It is about you, about what is happening in your energy, about who you are in this situation. And what I am sensing about you right now is something I want to name very directly. You are magnetic right now, not because you are performing anything, not because you have done something specific to create this, not because you have finally reached some threshold of worthiness, but because of the particular quality of energy you are carrying. There is a groundedness in you right now, a kind of settled realness, the kind that comes from someone who has been through enough to stop pretending to be anything other than exactly what they are. And that quality, that unperformed, unglamorous, completely genuine quality of being fully yourself is one of the most attractive things a human being can carry. I want to be specific about this because I think it is important. You are probably not in the most curated version of yourself right now. You are probably not at the peak of your performance. You are probably navigating something, working through something, in the middle of something that has not fully resolved. And yet, the energy you are carrying, the realness of it, the depth of it, the way you move through your life with all of that present and unmasked, that is exactly what has gotten into this person. Not a highlight reel version of you, the real version, the complex, navigating, fully alive, completely genuine version. That is what they cannot get out of their mind. Have you been feeling lately like you are not at your best? Like you are too much in the middle of things to be seen clearly? Like you need to be more together before you deserve to be chosen? Tell me in the comments, because I think a lot of you have been waiting to be more ready, more sorted, more arrived. And I want to tell you something directly. The version of you right now, exactly as you are, in the middle of everything you are navigating, is the version that is being thought about, is the version that is being felt, is the version that someone cannot manage their feelings about. You do not need to be more ready. You are already the thing. Let me talk about intensity, because the word intensity is in this energy for a reason, and I want to honor what it actually means. Intensity is not drama. Intensity is not chaos. Intensity is not the kind of connection that burns bright and disappears. Real intensity, the kind that overwhelms someone who is used to feeling things at a manageable level, is depth. It is the recognition of something real in another person, something that cannot be faked or manufactured, something that bypasses all the usual filters and lands directly. And what this person is overwhelmed by, what has gotten past their defenses and their management and their careful composure, is you, the depth of you, the realness of you, the specific, irreplaceable, completely yourself quality of who you are. That is what intensity means here. Not fireworks, not volatility, recognition. I'm not sure why, but this feels important to say right now. You have probably minimized yourself around this person at some point, made yourself slightly smaller, slightly less, turn down the volume of who you are, because the full volume felt like too much, too intense, too real, too likely to push them away. And here is the quiet irony of that. the thing they cannot stop thinking about, the thing that has gotten past everything, the thing that overwhelmed them, is not the smaller version. It is the full version. The moments when you forgot to manage yourself, the moments when you were just completely, unapologetically present. Those are the moments that did it. Let me talk about what happens next, because things are moving, and how you show up in that movement matters. When this person begins to pursue, when the shift from holding back to moving forward becomes real, there is going to be a temptation, a very human, very understandable temptation, to immediately become whoever you think they want you to be, to reshape yourself around the pursuit, to become so focused on keeping their attention that you lose track of your own. And I want to name that temptation right now, before it has the chance to operate unconsciously, because the version of you that attracted this intensity, the version that overwhelmed someone who is not easily overwhelmed, that version does not reshape around anyone. That version is not chasing or performing or curating. That version is simply, fully, completely, uncompromisingly itself. And that is the version that needs to be present as this unfolds. Think about what it feels like to be completely yourself, not in a social situation, not when you are performing anything, in the moments when you are alone and fully present with your own energy. That feeling, that particular quality of being unapologetically you. Carry that into every interaction, into every moment of this pursuit unfolding, because that is your actual power here. Not strategy, not technique, not knowing the right things to say or the right way to respond. Just that. The full, unedited, completely real version of you. Now let me address something that I think is sitting in some of you. There is a part of you that wants this so much that you are almost afraid to believe it is real, because wanting something this much feels dangerous, because the distance between wanting and receiving has felt painful before, because hope at this level requires a kind of vulnerability that your protection system wants to prevent. And so there is a part of you that is already preparing the counter argument, already building the reasons this might not be what it seems, already getting ready to manage your own excitement. And I understand that. I understand it completely. But I want to ask you something. What if this one is actually real? Not as a promise, not as a guarantee, but as a genuine possibility, a probability that deserves to be met with your actual self, your open self, the version of you that is willing to receive something good without immediately armoring against it. What would it feel like to just let this be real? Even imperfectly, even with uncertainty still present, even without knowing exactly how it unfolds, just to let it land and breathe and be. Have you been protecting yourself so carefully around this person that the protection itself has become a barrier, that the walls built to keep out pain are also keeping out the very thing you want? Tell me in the comments. Be honest with me, because I think this is where a lot of you actually are, and it deserves to be said out loud. Let me bring this toward its close, because I want to leave you somewhere grounded, somewhere rooted in who you actually are, not in what you hope someone else will do, not in the anticipation of pursuit, but in yourself. Here is what is true. Someone is carrying an intensity around you that they cannot manage. Something you carry, the realness of you, the depth of you, the specific, irreplaceable quality of exactly who you are, has gotten past everything in them, past the composure, past the control, past the safety of distance. And the probability of that intensity finding its way into movement, into pursuit, into someone finally showing you what they have been containing is real, and it is building, and your job is not to perform for it, not to position yourself within it, not to become something different to receive it. Your job is simply to be fully, completely, without apology, the version of you that overwhelms someone who is not easily overwhelmed. Just be that person, because that person is exactly enough, more than enough. The whole thing, if this reading touched something real in you today, if something in here cracked open, something you have been keeping carefully closed, please leave a comment below. Tell me what came up. Tell me what it felt like to hear this. Tell me what you have been quietly hoping for around this person, because you deserve to have this witnessed. You deserve to have someone look at what you are carrying and see it clearly. And what is moving towards you right now is someone who does exactly that. Stay grounded, stay yourself, and let them come to you. No performance required. No version of you needs editing. The real thing always finds the real thing. Eventually, stay in your truth. Watch what it draws in.